Okay, it's only one person waiting for us anyways.
It's all
Hello.
good.
Hi. Welcome back. We're late because we had technical issues on my part too as well.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Yeah. So far we got 0 people watching us so far, so it's just me and you.
Woo! Always a fun time.
It's always great. It's always a great time. Oh, we got one person. Welcome to the show. The show's dedicated to you.
Yay! Shout out to you, our one viewer.
Yeah. I was like, well, if there's a delay, there's not going to be like a crowd waiting for us anyways. It's not like a special edition book sale where everybody's like waiting for the drop-in code to like add to cart.
Right.
But we are here. Welcome back. Today is our August. Okay, Amber, this show is dedicated to you.
Yay!
Not sure if you were our first viewer, but it's dedicated to you, Amber. Today is our August book club live show in September because I think August was just a very busy month for us, and then we had to kind of delay it a bit and push it back. So if all things go to plan, we get 2 shows this month if we decide to move our September show in September, if we decide to have our September show in September. But yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we did have NIGHTHAWK by Beverly Jenkins. I always say her last name weird. As our August book pick. And I had some like followers on Instagram actually message me and was like, I typically can't catch the live show because I always work during the times that you guys have the live show, but I got a couple of days off. So I'm going to go try to catch the live show. I've never read the book yet. And then she was excited. She was also wondering if we had any like books that we picked for the next couple of months so that she can join us in the read-alongs. But I told her that we usually pick our books on the day of our live shows, and it's usually really random. But we do post our books on Instagram, so you can always check out our Instagram stories. We do a good job of that.
And I'm trying to get better about posting like just a community post on my YouTube. Of just like a screenshot of the like IG story template that I always use. But I mean, we could definitely, well, I mean, I like it either way. We can either just keep doing what we're doing in terms of like picking a book like during for the next month, like during this live show, for instance, or if we wanted, we could start planning out a couple of months in advance as well. And also what's really exciting is that we are getting pretty close to our 1-year anniversary.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yay. I got my water. Cheers.
This is a tea. Cheers.
I love that mug. That's adorable.
It's my new Halloween mug. It's so cute. Okay.
What are the temperatures like where you are?
Well, it's chilly tonight, but tomorrow's back to 1 second. I need to convert it to Fahrenheit.
Okay. I mean, I have a rough idea if you tell me in Celsius.
86. It's gonna be 86 tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, Tiff. How are you?
Hello.
So good to see you in the chat. Yes, because our first like official live show for this was November. We had a November pick. But we also had that live show, I believe, maybe sometime in October for, remember when we had with Beverly and Lenora Bell, and we were talking about their 2 new releases. So that could also be counted as like our first meeting too. Yeah.
Okay. We should. Maybe we can also visit the idea of like a community not community managed, but like a managed like me and you Instagram account where we just throw the graphic on there and we just call it a day. So that everybody can have like a list of like the books that they need to go through just for reference.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
We don't even have to like do anything. We just plop it on there and it's done.
Yeah.
Like every single month. Yeah.
That's a good idea for sure. We can definitely chat about that. A month or 2 ahead of time is it's not a bad idea.
Yeah. We're just very, I would say like we're kind of mood readers.
I was just about to say, I feel like with this book club, it's kind of fun for both of us to like see what mood we're in at the end of the previous month, basically.
Yeah. Sometimes we just read the next book.
Yeah.
In the series. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. But we can also try like a month or two or something.
Yeah, that's also
Kind
true.
of ahead of time, because I know that, like, for instance, I think Historical Hellions, they announce maybe like every 3 months, something like that. Like
Oh,
they'll
no.
they'll just like put out, okay, January, February, and March, here it is, right?
Mm,
And then they kind of go like that. So I mean, that's an idea too.
yeah,
Um, and like you said, like having a dedicated Instagram page where we can just like put those graphics out and they're just there.
yeah,
So it's really
for
easy.
reference. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really easy to see them and all of that. So yeah, I mean, those are all ideas. I will put out there that September is going to be very, 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 very busy for me. um, I am currently in the middle of rehearsals for a play, and the performances are the last 2 weekends of September.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'm also like, September's just crazy because like we're ramping up our season. For those of you that don't know, I work at like a music and dance studio. Our classes are starting next week for that. And then I'm also starting a new full-time job at said
Ooh.
studio. So there's just like a lot going
Full-time
on.
job.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. My first full-time job.
It's just gotta
Um,
be, yeah. I can hear it's being busy.
yeah, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. And like what makes me sad, like it's great to have all these opportunities, but at the same time, unfortunately, that gets in the way of my reading. And like
Mm,
I feel like the past like 8 months, I've been able to maybe read like 15 to like 18 books a month. Whereas I used to be able to read like 30 plus books a month. And so I'm just like a little sad about
yeah,
that.
I know. It
But
is sad working, like, a job, and it takes away from the pleasure.
and it's not a job that I could be listening to an audiobook. Like this is a
Yeah,
job
that makes me
like,
sad too.
yeah,
Yeah.
like unfortunately this is a job that like I really have to be 100% focused on what I'm doing because I've got so many different kinds of tasks
Yeah.
that need to be done. But thank you. Thank you, Linda. No, it is very exciting. It's just like a lot all at once. I'm also like kind of music directing a show at the moment. Like
Ooh.
there's just so much. There's so much happening in September. So I'm hoping in October, like I can take a breath. Like, but yeah, for now it's just a lot.
Yeah, so I guess, like, we still never planned it out yet, but it sounds like our September show should be in October, given the
Yeah, I
busy
mean, we
schedule.
could do like, I mean, I can just look at dates right now. We could do like somewhere in the first week of October. October 1st is a Sunday. And that day is the day of like our closing performance of the play that I'm in. I'm in Steel Magnolias, for those of you that are curious. Um, so I mean, we could do like somewhere around October 6th, 7th
Yeah, that
ish.
works.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely have a lot more free time. A lot more free time.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
yeah. But why don't we get into the actual
Right?
book discussion since we're that's what
Yeah.
we're here for. But thank you so much. No, it's been amazing. It's been a great experience. Just I've never been in a play before. I've done musicals and operas.
Hmm.
So this has been like a huge adjustment for me. Like in some ways being in a play is more exhausting than being in a
Yes.
musical or an opera because with a musical or an opera, like you have music to like keep your energy going.
Mhm.
Whereas in a play, it's all just you're on stage. My character's on stage pretty much the entire time. I have the most lines
Wow.
too. So there's just a lot to do, and you're creating your own rhythm with the other actors on stage. Um, oh, Tiffany, I wish they would live stream it, but yeah, I'm hoping we'll get some like clips for like promo and stuff that we can put out on like Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's great. It's just tiring, and yes, so but I had a good time with our group pick with Nighthawk. I guess we should also just mention like how many books we've read by Beverly Jenkins.
Okay.
How many have you read of hers, Lisa?
I probably read 4 now, which isn't a lot, but
Yeah.
I read so Night Song. Remember how last month we were thinking about Night Song, and
Hmm.
then it was like between Night Song. Is it called Night Song?
That's one of her books. We were also considering Midnight.
Okay.
That's another one that we were thinking of. And I think you read that one.
Did I read Midnight, or is Night Song a book though from Beverly
It
Jenkins?
is. Night Song is her first book, but I think we were considering Midnight because that one's like a bit obscure.
Okay, Night Song I haven't read. Sorry, my bad. It's Midnight I read. I read it even though we decided that like we were debating whether or not we wanted to read that or Nighthawk, and then afterwards we chose Nighthawk, and then I read Midnight. Like I betrayed you. I'm sorry. And I read Midnight.
What did you think of it?
It was a 3 out of 5 stars for me. It was a solid read, but it was just a little bit too heavy with like the dialogue and like the scene building, not a world building, because it's like a world that we kind of are already familiar with. It feels like it feels like a contemporary romance, because Westerns typically feel like that for me. Like it just feels like, you know, society has already developed, but like we're just kind of working through, you know, like racism and like different levels of class and like things like that. But yeah, it just felt contemporary to me. But that one I gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other books have you read by her?
I read the first book in the Destiny series.
Destiny's Embrace. Yeah.
Destiny's Embrace. I read that one. And then I read some other ones that I forgot already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you read Indigo? Because like that's her most famous.
No, I don't think I have read Indigo.
Would definitely recommend it at some point. It's a great one. It's a really great.
What's the preference? Like, what's it called? Oh my god, I'm having a stroke. The premise, and then what's the trope of?
So Indigo is about Hester, and I think Galen is the hero's name. They both are working in the Underground Railroad, and the beginning is really interesting because like they don't know each other, but I think they end up at this safe house together, and he's severely injured. So she has to take care of him, but she has like no idea who he is. And so once he's like feeling better, they get to know each other. It kind of starts out as like, I guess, annoyed to lovers. Like they don't really like each other at first. And it turns out that I always say this when I talk about this book, he reminds me so much of Prince Naveen from the Disney movie Princess and the Frog. And Hester kind of reminds me of Tiana too. She's so hardworking. She's, I love her heroines, and I like her heroes too. I like her here, a lot. But like they have a fun dynamic for sure, and it's a classic. I mean, it's a lot of people's like some of their like top favorite historicals. Like Indigo is one of them. I might reread it at some point because when I first read it, I gave it like 4 stars. But I'm kind of curious to see if I would like it more upon reread. But it's very great. It's a solid historical. I think at this point I've read 5 Beverly Jenkins books because I've read Indigo. I've read all 3 of the Destiny books, and I gave all of those 5 stars. I love that series, and then this book. So yeah, I definitely need to read more. She's got so many books in her backlist. And it's also fun because I didn't know this at first, but this is like a companion / like spin-off of, I'd have to look in the author's note. I think it's The Taming of Jessie Rose, which was like a 1999 release of hers, because the preacher is featured in that book. And he's also featured in Something Like Love, a 2005 release. And so apparently readers have been dying for his story. And so she finally wrote it in NIGHTHAWK. This came out in 2011, for those of you that don't know. But so that's fun. But yeah, so what was your general rating of NIGHTHAWK?
I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it had solid writing. I thought it had a good story. It kept me intrigued, and then that's about it. Yeah.
I mean, Jess also gave it 3 stars when she read it. I think what how a lot of people feel about a lot of Beverly Jenkins books, you might have felt the same way. A lot of people like love the first half because that's where like the romance is really, really developed, and then the second half. Usually of like the 5 books I've read by her, usually the last half has more to do with a couple like settling into their life together and some sort of villain coming into the story.
Yep.
And some people don't like that. I personally enjoy it. I gave this 4 stars. Not my favorite Beverly Jenkins, but I enjoyed it. I also agree that like the first half was so great for me because we did get that development of the romance, and I was very invested. I think if the second half, I enjoyed the second half, but for me it was actually like the last like 10% specifically.
Yeah.
That I was like, I'm kind of done with this book now. Like it's fine because like that last 10% is where that Draper character really comes into play and the Ketchum character really comes into play, and they're like the big bad villains, and like I just didn't feel invested in that plot line. So I was like, okay, like can we be done now? Like but that kind of stuff happens a lot in her books. For sure. Yes, Tiffany. Princess and the Frog.
And then Amber gave it 4 stars. Yeah, like
yeah, I love that too. I personally love, because their romance was so whirlwind and so fast in a way, I love getting to see them settling into their married life together and like ultimately like telling each other that they love each other and like, all of that stuff for sure.
Yeah. Like it had a full happily ever after, I would say. Like you typically, like for romance novels, they just get married and that's the end of the book. But like this, we have that settlement period where they get married and they're living like a marriage and they're building that marriage. So it was nice to see it.
Yeah, and I think it was an important part of their love story because they were definitely still getting to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, they really did not know each other all that well when they agreed to marry each other. But seeing them like come to his home in Wyoming and her getting used to what that kind of living is like. And I always appreciate with Beverly Jenkins books, like the historical context that we get. I learned a lot from this book. I learned a lot from all of her books about what it was like. I feel like we don't talk about what it was like in the later 1800s. Like, I feel like with American history, we learn in school, like, okay, the slaves were freed, woohoo. And then like we jump to like World War I. But I love that like we're talking about the period in between of like how obviously life for people of color was still not great, and it still isn't great in the States.
Yeah.
But like talking about the specific laws that were in place, and like especially in this Wild West world that we're in with Beverly Jenkins books, I think it's just like so important, and I just really appreciate her place in the historical romance genre. But something else I really liked about this book, and Lisa, you'll have to tell me if you felt the same way. I feel like her writing style still gives me that like nostalgic old school historical romance feeling without it being like the consent issues or like like the bonkers things that happen in old school historical romance. It's kind of like the best of both. And
he's definitely like our hero's definitely like a gentleman. He's just a straight gentleman. He's always making sure that she feels comfortable, that she's taken care of, and that, because there was a part, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a part where she asked him after the marriage if he was ever going to beat her. And then he was like, no, why would I do that? That's insane. And I'm like, oh, but like that was probably like obviously like the norm back then, like whenever the wife was out of line, so to say, and then the husband would have the right to beat her. But like I loved how our hero was like a modern day man in the late 1800s, and he was just like, no, why would I do that? I love you, I care for you, I want to make sure that you're okay. So yeah, I agree. Definitely transports me back into like the Western setting. Yeah. I think like the only thing that I have with her books is that she focuses a lot on the dialogue, but then it's not like they're talking all the time. It's just like the scenes feel long sometimes because they're stuck in one place for a long period of time and writing.
Oh, I
So
see what
it
you mean.
gets kind of like slow because you're like, oh, they're still there in this kitchen. Like not specifically to Nighthawk, but like when I was reading Midnight, it was like she was an undercover spy, but she was like a servant. And he was like a guest, but he was like known to be a good soldier. And it was just like this like long chapter where they were just in the dining room and they were like conversing and then they were like getting to know each other, but then it was like involving with like a lot of different like characters. So so I felt it in Nighthawk too, where like the scenes ran for too long and I felt like there were times where I wasn't propelling the plot. So it kind of like slowed things down for me in my head because it just felt
Mhm,
like I was listening to a story rather than being in the story and being like with the characters. It just felt like I was a bystander watching things, but it had nothing to do with the plot kind of thing sometimes.
mhm.
That's my that was my kind of my take.
How did you read this?
I read it through audiobook.
Okay, I did too, mostly. A lot of it was just like me driving to and from places. And that's probably maybe I mean, you listen to the audio too, but like,
Yeah.
um, I find that when I am listening, when I'm driving, obviously I'm not taking note. I'm just like along for the ride. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like, and I could see what you mean though, for sure. But it wasn't anything that like I noticed while I was reading. But she definitely has a distinctive writing style with her historical romances that I could see that not being everyone's cup of tea. And that's why I've said, like, I feel like I've seen people give a lot of her books like 3 or 4 stars because of all the things that we've just mentioned. Maybe it's the pacing of the conversations, maybe it's the pacing of the romance that like it happens in the first 50% and the second 50% is like the couple being married and then a villain showing up. And maybe people don't like that,
Yeah.
But
No, I can see that too because like I feel like for like the most part of even Midnight, like the real plot was not there until like the end. Like the back of the synopsis is like they're telling you this is going to happen, but it wasn't. It was just like chapters and chapters of them getting to know each other, falling in love, and then whatever happens in the synopsis finally happens. So yeah, you have to
gotcha.
wait for it to happen.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Um, I could see that almost like historical fiction. I mean, they're definitely still historical romances, but like I do kind of see what you're saying. Um, yeah, she just has a distinctive way of writing for sure. I don't know who I would compare her to in terms of,
Oh yeah.
and maybe that's also why I got that old school historical romance feel from her because there are quite a few old school historical romances that felt more like historical fiction to me, um, because maybe they focus more on a plot that has nothing to do with the romance and historical context and blah blah blah. I also adore Destiny's Surrender, Linda. That's the book you're talking about. That's my favorite Beverly Jenkins book.
Yeah, I was highlighting this comment because I was trying to make sure like which one I read, and it's Destiny's Surrender that I read, but Destiny's Embrace I didn't read yet, and Destiny's Captive. So I read the second one first, and then didn't read 1 and 3. But I think I like this series better because there was just more things happening. I felt like in this book, like our heroine had a rough past, and she has an interesting past. So
She
when we
does.
were learning more about her, I was like, okay, yeah, like this is moving the plot. And plus, I think like correct me if I'm wrong, but he had his own like feelings towards her about her like job, which is like a sex worker.
She
Was that
was at some point. I think really what it was is that like she got tricked into it. That
yeah.
was that dude that like he ended up throwing off the train. That dude tricked her. Um, but she said it was like one night because like she got out of like the situation. So and she wasn't really a
Okay.
sex worker, but yeah, like I mean, definitely had a rough life. And I think, as far as I know, this is one of her only, if not her only, heroines or characters with Native American heritage.
Mhm.
And I really appreciated that. And in I think it's in the author's note, she mentions how she was inspired to write Maggie's character. Yeah, she met someone at a book signing. A young woman introduced herself as Maggie Sherman and proceeded to humble me with her thanks for my work. Her mother's side of the family are members of the Kaw tribe, like Maggie's family was. And so, yeah, that's really cool. I love that, like, she was inspired by just someone she met at a book signing, like
No.
a reader that she met. Yeah, that's really cool. She also mentions like the Chinese Exclusion Act. That's explored a little bit as well. There's a character that they meet who runs a boarding house, and she's Chinese. And yeah, so that's all really, really cool. But yeah, I mean, you know, you gotta love a hero. Like you said, he's just a gentleman in every sense of the word. And I love how he fell for her because she's just so, like, Maggie is just so strong. She's gone through so much in her life, and she always just picks herself back up. And there is something so inspiring about her, you know? Yeah, I really enjoyed it, you know, so that's why it's a solid 4 stars for me.
Yeah, it was good. I want to read more of her books, but I'm also like trying to like take a break from historical romances because I read a lot last month because I was hosting this historical romance readathon with a bunch of other booktubers.
Yeah.
It was a romance readathon, but it was like historical romance themed, so like anybody could read anything really. So you would just read.
But I feel like y'all pretty much stuck to historical, right? I mean, like that's what it seemed like.
I mean, I stuck with it, but I can see like we have a log sheet because we're team based. So we have a log sheet where we log in how many books we read and how many pages, and we get points on it. So I was looking at the log sheet, and a lot of people actually just read anything that, you know, they were excited to read about. Like, so then everybody just read whatever genre that they liked, and they still participated and still counted towards points, but you get bonus points if it's historical romance. And yeah, yeah. I stuck closer to historical romance because I wanted to challenge myself to read more historical romances. So I dove deeper into a lot of like indie historical romance authors. So one of them I read a lot of was Stacey Reed. And I read almost like a good chunk, like maybe like 70% of her backlist titles. And it's her indie titles. And they were so good. And I feel like I like her indie published romances more than her traditionally published romances. Maybe because the publisher, I don't know, maybe the publisher influences her writing and stuff.
Probably do. Yeah.
I know, but her indie romances were really good. I was like, whoa, 4.5 out of 5 stars, 5 out of 5 stars. Like, and those were high for me because for Stacey Reed, I always gave like 3 out of 5 stars for Entangled Romance. And I was like, maybe I just don't like Stacey Reed's writing. And then I read her indies and I was like, never mind. It's just the publisher.
Yeah, I am planning on reading The Wolf and the Wildflower.
Oh my God, it's so good. You need to read it. It's like Tarzan and Jane retelling.
Yeah.
I love it. I read it and I was like, guys, this is like so good. And then Lacey and Jessica read it for their group pick last month. And I was like, guys, it's a great book. So cute. And he's not like completely like Tarzan, like barbaric and doesn't know the English language and is just swinging through vines and just being like weird. He knows exactly what's happening. He's well educated. He's really smart and he like loves to read, but he just likes the wild side. So then he just hates like the social norm. So he always just like runs around without shoes and he's always outside, like baking under the sun and like just having fun in the lake and things like that. But so good. And then she's like supposed to teach him how to be a gentleman.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. That's been on my list for a little while. For sure.
I think it's indie published, right?
It is indie published. It's on KU, and there's the audiobook is on Hoopla for those of you that have Hoopla.
So good.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Why she was because Kerrigan Byrne has been self-publishing for a long time now.
Yeah.
The editors and publishing houses. Well, I can tell you because I remember hearing an interview with Lorraine Heath. I believe that's who it was that one of our booktuber friends was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Lorraine Heath saying pretty much all like Avon wants to publish, for instance, with the exception of like Beverly Jenkins and Joanna Shoup, is Regency. That's it. That's like all they give a shit about. And that limits you a lot. If you can only write in that era in London, like that is very limiting. So I don't know about the other publishing houses, but Avon seems to just be very stuck on Regency for the most part.
Yeah.
And like I know Joanna Shoup has said, because Jess and I interviewed her like a year or two ago, and she said that like I have ideas, but I know that Avon is not going to go for it. Like
because it's too like.
Because she said she'd love, and I told her, I was like, girl, you need to just indie publish it. She said that she wants to write a romance where the heroine is a baseball player in that Gilded Age era. And she's like, I really don't think they'd go for it, you know? So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I read thrillers last month too, because I need to like take a break from the historical romances. But yeah.
I read a thriller last month. I really enjoyed it.
Ooh, which one did you read?
I think it's called The Last Word by Taylor Adams.
Dude, I read that one too.
How did you like it? I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. Like,
I gave it 3. Okay. It was good, but I was just like, yo, this is not even a thriller. This is like a slasher fic where like the guy just wanted to kill her.
The guy just wanted to kill her, and and like I'm okay with like those kind of books, but like I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the biggest fan of just like a slasher, whether that be movies or books or whatever. Like I'm like, okay, he just wants to kill her. Like
I need something more. So we were talking about The Last Word. I know it's a historical romance book club, but we're going to talk about thriller novel. But
everything.
For those who don't know, The Last Word by Taylor Adams. She is a he, right? It's a he. Sorry, Taylor is a man. Okay, so he wrote a book. Man?
I don't know.
Taylor Adams is a man. He's a man.
Really?
Yeah. He's a man.
Taylor Adams was a woman. Oh my god.
No. It's a man. It's a man. Okay, so basically, she has a secret. There's a reason why she is like house sitting, right? She's house sitting somewhere. And then afterwards, she is reclusive. And then she has a next door neighbor, and they play hangman. And it's really cute. But then until one day, she reads a really shitty novel, and she leaves a really shitty review. And then now this author is hell-bent on killing her. And she's trapped in this house, and she has to outsmart this man who's stalking her and try to save the next door neighbor. And there are twists and turns. And I gave it 3 out of 5 because it felt like this movie that I watched where this girl, she's deaf and she can't hear. Well, obviously she can't hear. And she's like in her house. And then there's this psycho killer outside who's trying to break into her house. But she is like so smart. She's like locking down her house and like locking doors, boarding out windows, and try to protect herself. But she has a disadvantage because she can't really hear anything. And it's only until like the killer finds out that she has a disadvantage does he use it against her. Anyways, it just felt like the same vibes.
It honestly makes me sad knowing that Taylor Adams is a man. Because
why?
I'm like kind of over male authors writing books where the female characters are the protagonists, because like I've just read so many. I feel like we all have. We've read so many books that are written by men, and they just like don't understand women.
Yeah, and
they just don't. That was a good book, though. I liked that. I
gave 2 out of 5 stars. I'm sorry. I don't think I like Taylor Adams' books, so I can agree with you. Like, we don't need a man in our lives.
There's so many thriller authors that are women, and they write great thrillers with female protagonists, and
so I read some with female authors, like Sherry Lapina. I read her latest novel, Everyone Here Is Lying. And then I read this new author called Clemence Mashalon, and she wrote The Quiet Tenant, which is about this man who has 3 women in his life. One is his daughter, another one is his love interest, and the other one is the woman he kidnapped 5 years ago that he keeps locked up in the shed. And now he has to like navigate these relationships, and you get like all the different.
Oh yeah, you told me about that one, or maybe I saw like in a video of yours or something.
I did. I talked about best books in August.
Oh my god, Tiffany's next comment kills me.
She has an indie paranormal
dropping like death drops, lip syncing for it. So many plot twists. I know, so many plot twists in that book.
Oh, I already read that book, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. Shan just mentioned Vampires of El Norte. Like, I really enjoyed Isabel Cañas's debut, which was The Hacienda. I really liked that book. It's thriller horror set in Mexico in the 1830s.
Wow.
There is a forbidden romance element with a priest.
Wow.
And it was pretty good. Yeah, that was really, really good. So I'm very excited about her next book.
I saw this. Yeah. Vampires of El Norte is the one that you just described?
Yes. I read The Hacienda. That's the one I described. But Vampires of El Norte is her new book, which involves vampires. And Tiffany read it. She'll give her thoughts. But yeah, The Hacienda is really, really good. Has the perfect like spooky vibes for the fall, you know. But yeah.
I guess I should go back to this comment where, you know, publishers want to stay away from darker themes. I feel like that's true because a lot of the Avon romances that have come out this year, last year, just so carefree, you know, so light, so romantic. Like nothing really like gory, nothing really too shocking, nothing too taboo.
I mean, they used to, I feel like, because like if we're thinking about like Lorraine Heath, a lot of her books are darker. Mm-hmm. She's published with Avon for years and years and years. Like I'm thinking of like her like Scandalous Gentleman of St. James series, and like those books definitely. I think a good part of her books have darker themes for sure.
Yeah, I think she's able to get away with it because she is Lorraine Heath.
Because she's Lorraine. Like, you're right. Yeah. Just like Beverly Jenkins writes what she writes, and Joanna Shoup writes what she writes for the most part. Yeah, but I see. I don't know. I see what y'all mean. I do think that traditional publishing is just in a very weird place right now because unfortunately they're very much being influenced by what the TikTokers want to read. And I don't know if that's taken over the historical romance genre. But
I also feel like there's less historical romances being published each year. Like this year,
I agree. Yeah.
Am I crazy? Because like I'm looking at my pre-orders and they're very little, very far, like very little and very far in between when they get into my inbox. Because I pre-order a lot of these historical romances and I don't keep track. So I'm just like, okay, I'll just like pre-order 12, thinking I'm gonna get 2 a month. But it's like literally 1 every month. And I'm like, what? What's happening? Like, where are all the books?
Yeah, like especially
weird, right?
It is weird because I'm thinking about like I was so excited for The Duke Gets Even, but that came out all the way in January, and then I'm trying to think of like what have I been excited about?
Yeah, well, Lorraine Heath's new book came out. You didn't read the first book in that series. I actually never read the second one, mostly because I didn't really like the first one, so I'm not really eager. Then Christy Carlisle, is that how you say her last name? Recently came out with a new one.
She did, but I've read one of her books and I didn't love it, so.
Yeah. Charisse Michaels came out with her something princess novel. That was cute. I never read it yet.
I need to read that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So Stacy, well, yeah. Well, if we're specifically talking about Avon, they're not really publishing that much, I feel like.
They really aren't.
Lenora Bell's book is coming out in December.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Something that, you know what, honestly kind of confuses me about Avon is because I know publishers can be, and they should be, very persistent on their authors. Are they not pushing Tessa Dare? Like, are they not like being on her ass about like getting this book out? Like, are they just giving her space? Like, what is going on that like
Lacey updated on her Instagram story, and I think she said that Tessa Dare's book finally has a pub date, and it's for 2024.
But that's been the pub date.
I know
that was a placeholder date, like,
but I don't know. At least he was convinced that it was coming out in 2024. So
I would love to think so, but I'd have to look on Avon's website because like Avon will have the most up to date thing.
but I'm also like just like worried because like if she took so long to write this book, when's the next book coming out? You know?
Yeah,
I like it when I have two books in the what's it called? Like two books in line of like from my favorite authors. So like when I finish the book, I don't have to wait that long for another book from them.
right.
So like I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up now because I need to know.
I agree
Let me
with this comment. Not much variety. Nothing's really standing out. Ooh, some big authors haven't been publishing much since COVID too, as well.
Yeah,
Like,
honestly, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Avon is kind of like it's the same 10 authors. I feel like there's no new authors. It's always
they have not been picking up new authors. Yeah,
it's always. I just realized this in the past like COVID years of me pre-ordering all these books. It's always the same 10 authors that I see on my bookshelf. No new authors.
yeah. On Tessa's website, it's just TBD.
Damn.
Yeah. So that's what I don't get. I'm like, okay, does Avon know something that we don't about Tessa Dare? Like Tessa, so she posted some months back that she's just basically having severe writer's block, and that's fine. But I'm like, does Avon know something else about her that like we don't know? Because like I feel like they would be up her ass to get a new book out from her. Like she is one of their top authors. Same with Lisa Kleypas. Like, what girl? Where is it? Where is it?
Lisa Kleypas, last I heard, she got bullied from TikTok girlies because of the description of, in her older novels. And then she's working on contemporary romance right now or something like that. Okay. I don't know.
I agree. Forever Romance is publishing a lot of historicals.
Yes. And they're doing paperbacks now, not mass paperbacks. They're focusing on like the
trade paperbacks.
Yeah.
I am, speaking of Forever, I'm looking forward to, it's something like Rogue to Ruin or something by it's the new Winchester's book. By, why is the author's name?
Today, my brain is not working today, guys. Like,
oh my god, I'm so annoyed.
Rachel is like Erica Ridley. I'm gonna throw names out there.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, it's Erica Ridley.
Yes,
good. I knew you were gonna talk.
This is the cover.
Yes.
I am looking forward to this one because I do like this series.
But we were talking about it last month about how each book is different. The first book is a different size from the second one, and then the second one and the third one, like all different covers.
Well, and I truthfully am going to miss this style of covers.
Yep.
The cover is adorable, but it's very different from, I mean, come on, this is like night and day. Yeah. I'm so annoyed when publishers do this, by the way, like so annoyed. But I am looking forward to this one. I think this one has disability representation. Because she walks with a cane, I think. This is the, and there's a hedgehog. Aww. A pet hedgehog. So I'm looking forward to that one. That one comes out very soon. I think it's coming out, September 12th. But I honestly, like, I don't know, like, where are the historical romances that I'm, like, excited about? Entangled comes out with a lot. Entangled
is trying to be there, and I'm all for it. The covers are gorgeous. Whoever's designing the Entangled
mask, they are gorgeous.
They're gorgeous. They make me feel like that this book will be my favorite book ever when I look at it. And then, sometimes they're a hit, sometimes they're a miss, but I don't care because they're beautiful. So they deserve to be on my shelf.
People have been hyping up Knockout, the new Sarah McLean.
I don't read her because I feel like she's kind of boring.
I might try her out again, but I stopped reading her because I wasn't giving her books. The only
Yeah,
books of hers that I've given 5 stars are actually her first couple of releases.
the
The
9
old,
rules to get
yes,
the rules. Yes, we
yeah,
talked about
that
this.
series I
Yeah.
really love, but a lot of her books, like the pacing is off. Or
I
like,
agree.
yeah, like the development of the romance is off. So I might give her another chance though. But
Okay, let's go
another book
there.
that I read recently and loved. Let me get the cover up.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me pause this. I think Shannon is saying that Tessa Dare might have health issues and she isn't living abroad now.
No, I think she's still in the LA-ish area because she recently went back to the Rip Bodice and signed some books.
Ah,
But I know that she's like, for some reason, I don't know why. I think she has a very big fan base, if I'm not mistaken. Either in, I think in Brazil, and she's learned a lot of Portuguese to like,
oh,
I
that's
think
amazing.
maybe to like talk to her fans there. But any like, so she posts a lot of things sometimes in Portuguese. But yeah, so I read this book recently.
Is it good?
I loved it.
I never read the series.
Oh, you haven't?
I have all
I
3 books except for that 4th one.
Okay. I've heard mixed reviews about book one, so I never read book one.
Yeah.
I started with book two and I loved book two. I liked book three, and then I loved book four.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is Gilded Age, and it takes place in London.
Oh, in London.
This is who is this publisher? It's Berkeley.
Yeah.
Berkeley. Berkeley doesn't publish much historical, so
Yeah. And when they do, they make the modern covers like that one. So it fools you into thinking that's a contemporary romance. But
I loved this one. This is book two.
I
That was
haven't.
really great. But yeah.
I think people are just going with cartoon covers because people are just embarrassed about bringing the book out in public and they get shy over like a real person on the cover. And like I think a lot of people also aesthetically like cartoons or like without people on the cover more nowadays. I think it just all stems from readers feeling embarrassed like seeing people on the cover.
I know, but I just prefer the artistry of like real people and
I
like,
know. But you know what? Trends come and go, and I feel like it just come full circle soon.
because like covers like this,
Yeah.
yes, please, like I need that in my life.
Welcome to the show.
Hello.
If they're trying to attract contemporary readers, they need to stop. No, I swear to God, they are trying to.
I feel like they're desperately trying to attract like the spicy
The younger readers.
girlies that are like really into just like spicy contemporary romances. And it's just like it's not gonna work. Honestly, truly, if Bridgerton didn't make people pick up historicals, they're never gonna do it. Like, it's just not gonna happen,
I believe it might happen. It'll just come a little bit later.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to think of books that are coming out. Like,
I think Linda is agreeing that she loved all of
the Harper St. George. Yeah, I love this series. It's really great.
And then Harper St. George's historicals. And I think Linda may have reread all of those books.
Yeah, they're really great.
And then wasn't a fan of book number 1, but still continued the series.
Yeah, I haven't read book 1 because I had heard that it was not great. So I would still give book 2 a chance if I were you, because book 2 is really fun because it's about like the hero is a nobleman who's in a lot of debt, and so he wants to marry this woman that he knows who's an American heiress. And so he decides to trick her into going on like this road trip with him. So it's like forced proximity. And yeah, so at first he wants to like trick her into a marriage of convenience. But things go on from there. And it's really great. It's a good one. But yeah, the indie historicals though, I'm excited about the indie historicals right now. I really want to read Forever Your Rogue by Aaron Langston. Is the author. Have you heard of that one, Lisa? I'll get the cover up. because you might have seen the cover, like Bookstagram has like blown up about this book. And Crystal really loves it, and so does Jen. Let's see. It's a really pretty cover.
Yes, I agree. I'm looking at it right now. It's very beautiful.
Really, really pretty. So I want to read this soon. I also want to read more of Scarlett Scott's books. Who else? There's also this novella author, Alexandra Vasti. And her books have blown up on Bookstagram. I'll get a cover.
Oh, I just saw that recommended to me from Goodreads.
It's like 120 pages.
Nice.
But she's written 3 of them so far. So yeah, very, very excited about.
So Scarlett Scott is an author that you really liked, and last month I actually read 2 of her books.
Oh, which ones?
It's part of the Wicked Husband series, Her Errant Earl and Her Love-Struck Lord. And I think essentially, if I remember correctly, it's about like they're married, but they have like a horrible relationship, and it's always like kind of like a second chance romance where they have to fall in love with each other again.
Oh, yeah.
And it was good. I gave Her Errant Earl 4 out of 5 stars. It was angsty. I was like, damn. And then Her Love-Struck Lord, I gave 3 out of 5 stars.
Okay. I've given a few of her books 5 stars, and the majority, I would say, of the books that I've read by her would maybe be 4 stars. Or maybe half and half, I guess. But a recent release that I did read and I did really like was How to Tame a Wild Rogue.
I have that book.
This is book 6, I believe, in her Palace of Rogues series. I really, really liked it. Her books are hit or miss for me, though. This was middle of the road for me. Like, with her books, it was 4 stars. Some of her books are like all-time faves. I've given them 5 stars. Some of her books I've given like 2 or 3 stars. So it's just, I never know. When I go into one of her books,
Sophie Jordan then for me. Like, like a 5 out of 5 or like a 2 out of 5. There was and I forget who hosted it, but there are some bookstagrammers like a couple years ago, maybe like 2 or a year and a half ago, hosted a Julie Ann Long readathon.
Yes.
And then they would quote the book, and the quotes were so beautiful. Yeah. And I'm like, I really need to read this series. It was like the series
book,
that was like,
yeah, like the books that hit for her are so good. Like so good.
Amelie Howard. I love Always Be Your Duchess. It was so good.
And I need to read that one. I got like a physical arc of that one, and I never read it.
So fun. It was so fun. Yeah. It was like a romantic comedy, historical romance. So fun. I think cool. I have an arc of Never a Duke Like You. I'm not too sure. I have to check my shelf. So I need to read that one ASAP too as well. I have a lot of YA historical romances. I know. They're doing that. They're doing YA historical romances.
Which I think is fun. I honestly do want to get back into YA because I really enjoy YA. I think that YA can like bring you a lot of joy, and like there's just something so like fun about like the youthfulness of it, and like I think a YA historical could be fun. Like
no stress. It's just,
yeah.
No adult stress. Love it. Love YA. But I haven't read it in a long time.
What would we think about reading this for next month?
Forever Your Rogue? Okay, wait. Hold on. We got to pause this and look to see if there's an Audible.
There isn't. That's
it's 400 pages.
Wait, let me see if there was any news about when an audiobook might come out. Let's see.
You're willing to wait for it?
I understand, because it's like, it is 400
pages. I'm sorry.
Is an audiobook coming out? Let's see. I don't know. But it's on KU, which is nice. Let's see. Anything? Because if one's in development, I would wait.
And then we could put it, towards the thing that we just talked about where we announced the book. 3 months in advance or whatever.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything about an audio. We can still wait though. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do want to read it soon, but no. Oh, I forgot. No, it came off of KU recently, but I downloaded it off of KU before it got taken down, so I still have it. But let me see if, because it came off of KU, is there an audiobook? So this was some weeks back. Someone commented, I hope you get it narrated soon. And she said, it's high on my list of hopes. I want to be able to do this and do it well one day. So, but that was 15 weeks ago. So maybe not anytime too soon, but.
Do you want to read a shorter book?
Yeah, I mean, I get that that's long.
Like a shorter book, like, I don't know, like a shorter book, physical. So like, I don't know how short, but Get Thee Off My Lawn by Daria.
That was fun. That was fun.
You read it already?
I read it.
Damn it.
That was fun. I'm looking at like if there's a Scarlett Scott. Like a lot of her books are like pretty easy to find. Like the audiobooks are usually like free if you have Audible or something. I don't know. I don't know. She's got a hefty backlist though. Like I'd have to really look through her books. I've been interested in Minerva Spencer. I know we've talked about her before.
Yes, we have.
Because a lot of her, or a good chunk of her audios are just like readily available on like Hoopla, like and things like that.
And they have high ratings.
They do.
Like the Boxing Baroness, 3.8. The Dueling.
Oh, yeah, that's her newest series. I've heard really good things about that series. And those audiobooks are on Hoopla.
Should we try the Boxing Baroness? The Wild Women of Whitechapel?
Let's look at this synopsis. Romance between an undercover spy and an educated and strong woman in the first of a witty Regency set feminist series, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Marianne Simpson has the manner of a lady and the looks of a lover, not a fighter, neither of which explains her occupation as a boxer in her uncle's circus.
Wow.
Always fantastical female Feyre. Nonetheless, when St. John Powell, the exquisitely handsome Duke of Staunton, begins turning up at her shows, she finds herself dangerously distracted by the powerful peer's mysterious presence. With her safety at stake, Marianne's days in the ring are numbered, but how long can she fight her attraction? Blah, 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 blah.
So she boxes?
So she boxes, and then it says that he actually needs Marianne to help rescue his brother, who is being held for ransom by a treasonous English baron. Whoa.
That's crazy.
That sounds so crazy.
Do we want crazy? I don't know. What's our vibe?
I mean, it sounds really cool. I've heard really amazing things about the second book in the series, The Dueling Duchess. But it's like, do we need to read book one?
Should we just try? Okay, so the Dueling Duchess is probably she does the duels, like, right? Yeah, that's a gun. That's not a cane that she's holding on to, right? I can't tell.
Yeah, this one, let's see.
It's all circling around the London Circus. All these characters are in the London Circus.
It's got pretty good ratings, although I'm seeing a few people give this one 3 stars, The Boxing Baroness. But like the plot just sounds so interesting.
Or do we want to try Stacey Reid? Her latest novel, An Earl to Remember?
Let me look that up. Have you read
A Matter of Temptation? Yes,
yeah, what did you think of it?
3 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
Did you read it?
Mm-mm. I have not. I have a physical copy though. I've heard really good things about it, but I have not.
You've heard a lot of good things about a lot of the books that we've talked about so far.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That circus one sounds so interesting. Like, have I ever read a historical romance centering around, it's an all-female circus. Like,
you know what? Since
what?
we just talked about how traditional publishing doesn't step out of the norm, we can't go back on it. So I think we have to read The Box and Baroness now. Because we just talked about like how they are so afraid of going into,
This is published by Kensington.
yeah, I've never heard of them publishing books in a long time.
They have published, like, because I know that Joanna Shoup published with them before she moved on to Avon. And I know, and Shan just brought up, I've been meaning to read The Boxing Baroness. I think will be really cool. But another Minerva Spencer that I've been meaning to read at some point is Dangerous, which is book one in an older series of her. And I think the hero is a pirate. Let me see. The heroine was captured and sold into a harem. Now the Sultan is dead, and Mia is back in London. And her father gave her an ultimatum: marry a man of his choosing or live out her life in seclusion. And then the hero, his first two wives died under mysterious circumstances. Now there isn't a peer in England willing to let his daughter marry him. He's known as the murderous Marquis. And nobody except Mia's father, the desperate Duke of Carlisle. So Mia must resemble... So it's like an arranged marriage situation. That's interesting.
Which one's this one?
This is called Dangerous.
Oh. Did I read this one? I don't think so. Because this is book number 2 in the series, right? The other one is...
No, it's book 1. It's book 1. Yeah.
Oh.
This one has a higher average rating, too, than The Boxing Baroness, so that's something to take into consideration. Jen gave it 5 stars. A couple of other people that I follow gave it 5 stars, but I also see some 4 stars in here.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Wait,
I've been meaning to read this series, so might as well.
All right, let's do Minerva Spencer Dangerous, guys. You heard it first. Yeah. And I have it right there on our screen. This will be our September group pick with the live show set for early October.
Yeah, we could do like October 6th or 7th. So the 6th is a Friday, the 7th is a Saturday.
Mm-hmm. I'm good with both. I like the weekends sometimes, but what how about you? Like, are you free?
I'm free both of those days. So yeah. I mean, we can keep doing Saturdays like we've been doing.
Yeah, let's stick to Saturdays.
Why don't we can set it for now, October 7th. So that's the Saturday, and then we can keep this time as well. But yeah, I'm excited to read Minerva Spencer.
Yeah, I think this might be her first book for me.
This is her first book for me, although I have read a book of hers that she wrote under a pen name.
Oh.
It was like SM, La Violette. Those are like her indie books.
Oh. Mm-hmm. I see it recommended to me on Goodreads when I search her up. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I liked one of the books that I think I gave it like 3-ish stars, but like that is like her indie stuff. I've heard better things about her Minerva Spencer books.
Okay.
So, cool.
Awesome.
I love Tiffany commented, I love Lisa, so she boxes.
I was like, oh, it's in the title, and it actually makes sense.
That series sounds really cool too, and maybe at some point we could read that too. But yeah, I like starting with Dangerous.
Okay. Yeah, we should start with her older series,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm.
All right. Well,
Cool.
it's been fun talking about
Yeah.
Nighthawk and every single other historical romance on our minds. It's always
Yep.
such a fun show.
Yep, yep,
But
yep.
and then the next month in October, it will be hosted on Rachel's channel. So
Yep.
go ahead and check out her channel and make sure to follow us on Instagram because we'll probably announce more things about our books soon.
Yep, yep, yep.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Have a good night or good rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.